I like quotes. About 20 years ago, a friend mentioned that he collected quotes. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. So I got a spiral notebook and started writing them down. Now I've got over 500 that I've picked up over the years that are life and wisdom and witticisms and good turns of the phrase. Obviously, a quote tends to be, the ones I write down tend to be very brief and to the point. But in looking back over my quotes, a person that pops up frequently is a guy by the name of G.K. Chesterton. He was an author and journalist in early 1900s London. And I've got a lot of his quotes, probably about a dozen in my notebook. One of my all-time favorites is by Chesterton, and it goes like this: an inconvenience is an adventure misunderstood. Now, think about that. Inconveniences, most people, just even the word is not attractive. People don't enjoy being inconvenienced. I don't, and especially when it was an avoidable situation, something that I could have planned around and not had to deal with. But when it's something that is unavoidable and unforeseen, how you handle it in that moment is important, especially if other people are depending on you or the decisions that you make impact more than just yourself. So a few years ago when our children were young, it was time for summer vacation, and I had just read this quote in the last week. We loaded the car on a Saturday morning and we're headed south to the beach to meet my side of the family for a week. About 45 minutes into the trip, the check engine light goes on and the engine turns off a few seconds later, and we drift to a stop on the side of the road. This was before cell phones, and I saw about a quarter of a mile up. It was a blessing that we were near an exit. I told my family, stay here. We're safely off to the side of the road. I'm going to go up there and see if there's a gas station where I can call and get some help. So as I'm walking down the road, my mind just starts racing. Are we safe? How bad is the car? Can I get help quick enough? Can we get another vehicle and still make it to the beach today? How much is this going to cost me? All of these thoughts. And then I thought about what an inconvenience this is. We're going to have to unload the car and load it into another car if we find one. But when I thought about the word inconvenience, I was reminded of this quote. What if I view this as an adventure? That helps me relax. That helps me make better decisions. That helps me not get my family anxious. I'm going to try that. So there was a service station at the exit. I was able to call and get a wrecker to come take us back to the dealership, as well as a taxi to come pick up my wife and kids to go ahead of us. There wasn't enough room in the cab of this truck. And I waited to ride with the wrecker driver. Wrecker driver's pretty rough shape. He was about 25 years older than me and had mentioned, this was 8 o'clock in the morning, he mentioned in the process of hooking my car up that he had just gone to bed a couple hours ago, so he was out having some fun last night. As we got in the cab, he put his hand on top of the steering wheel, and I noticed pretty quickly the tattoo in big letters that said Satan. That got my attention. He saw me staring and he went, oh man, I'm not into all that kind of stuff. I just woke up from a bender one time and that was there. So I thought, well, let's chat him up, at least figure out how we're going to take the next steps, as well as just pass the time for the next 45 minutes to get back up to the dealership. And in the course of conversation, I realized he was from my hometown and he actually went to high school with my father. A few more questions and he told me some stories about my dad I didn't know. It's kind of fun. They both went to high school with Elvis, so that was part of the conversation. But obviously this guy had had a pretty tough life. And I was able to encourage him and give him some words of wisdom that I had learned without being condescending. And it wound up being an interesting and fun ride. It gave me a great conversation to have with my family on, hey, here is part of the adventure. that we're on today. The family noticed that Dad was not responding like he normally did, and so therefore they relaxed as well. Gave me an interesting topic for conversation that night with my side of the family, and retelling some of those stories with Dad. So I just say that to say it has helped me through times of inconvenience when I was tempted to be frustrated and angry and lash out and blame, to relax, take a deep breath, and to look for what opportunities are in front of me that potentially wouldn't have happened if it were not for that inconvenience. Hopefully that'll help you the next time you're in the middle of an inconvenience. Try to see where the adventure is.